Raising the minimum wage remains a controversial issue, both here in the tri-state and across the country.
But will raising the minimum wage actually work toward reducing childhood poverty, Cincinnati's crisis?
Tonight, Local 12's Paula Toti shows you both sides of the issue, starting with two moms living on minimum wage.
I live paycheck to paycheck, so working minimum wage is very hard.
I just deal with it. Rob Peter to pay Paul every month.
Two single moms on minimum wage have some surprising thoughts on raising minimum wage.
People keep saying raise the minimum wage, but I don't think that would help.
It's stressful because you think, oh man, if they raise the minimum wage, how are these single mothers and parents gonna live?
So you're actually going, don't raise the minimum wage?
Yes.
They think employers would cut jobs and raise prices on housing to hamburgers.
Raising the minimum wage significantly, studies show, would raise the cost of a Big Mac 17 cents.
U.S. Senator Sherrod Brown of Ohio has introduced legislation that would raise the national minimum wage to $9 this year, with gradual increases to $15 an hour by 2020. The Cincinnati Urban League would like to see a hike in the minimum wage. However, the organization says it's also focused on job training that would help workers qualify for higher paying jobs. And if you're going to put a dollar amount on a livable wage, the Urban League says a single person with one child would still need just over $20 an hour to make ends meet.
That's right, and that's to cover expenses, medical, housing, child care. Those are expenses, transportation.
Brian Harris cites an MIT study that looks specifically at Cincinnati and surrounding areas. Interestingly, when the Urban League staffed a call center that's currently not running, the wage was $10.10. Harris told me the call center was a training ground for many people who might have few job skills. The job was a stepping stone. He realizes it's the same argument a fast food company might make.
But we believe that it's going to have to be employer-driven. So we do have some employer partners that believe in that same concept of investing in their employees.
But the league couldn't point us to one of those employers opting to pay more when competitors don't. Economist and author Thomas Hall says it's fine if companies want to pay more, but as for forcing a wage hike?
When you raise the minimum wage, you disemploy a number of other people. People who lose their jobs because of the higher minimum wage or never get hired.
An argument you've probably heard before, and one often dividing political parties.
The fact is, if we see higher wages in this country, we're going to see people able to spend that money in a way that creates jobs.
But the moms we met worry that even if there aren't layoffs, if wages were to increase, benefits would decrease.
I live in public housing. I get food stamps.
But if not a wage hike, then what? Hall says you look at family size, the local cost of living, and how much the family earns.
And then you subsidize them to that amount. And then, if they go out and earn income, you don't take dollar for dollar away from that subsidy.
Hall says one streamlined program might save tax dollars. The two U.S. senators from Ohio told me they agree with something similar, reforms in the earned income tax credit.
If people are working, they can get a credit that is a refundable credit, meaning even if they don't have any taxes due, they can get that credit, so it helps them to be able to make ends meet.
As we continue to look for answers, you may be surprised by two things.
I'm looking for a job now. I have 2 degrees, medical coding and billing and medical administrative assisting, and at this time it's very hard to find a job in both.
And Jodi Andrews has 2 jobs.
Feels like the world's coming to an end, kind of.
The women we met were working very hard. This is not a matter of not wanting to work, and they were specific in their thoughts on making ends meet. A wage hike only if that doesn't cut other benefits. Education assistance like free internet, especially for their children. Medical insurance without a waiting period if you get a new job, and better transportation options. But I want to tell you, I talked to Beth Fuentes yesterday during the holidays. She got a good job at a hospital. She has those 2 degrees, one that matches her skills more closely. it has full-time benefits. So we will see. I hope she lets us check in with her and see if this makes a difference. You know, moving her up, and she had been so hopeful, and she's tried for a long time.
Yeah, that's great news.
It was very nice of them to share their
You know,
stories with us too.
That's always the case, and I'm always just so humbled that people will let us in to talk about those things.
Right.
Thanks, Paula.